How do you know a queen when you see one? By the color of red on the bottom of her shoes, the Chanel bag she's carrying, her face is flawlessly beat because she has leveled up, she's bossing and flossing, and her Instagram account is full of pictures of her jet setting around the world. Is that a queen? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're doing well. Last Friday was the official launch day for my channel, and I wanted to give a special thanks to those who came and hung out with me, and even to those who subscribed. I do appreciate you. Today I want to share a lesson entitled Queen Behavior. Queen is a word that we're all familiar with. There are queen emojis on our phones, there are t-shirts, artwork, and different kinds of paraphernalia with the word queen written on it. We also call each other queen in our daily lives and even on social media. I know you're probably laughing by now, wondering what is going on with me, but my queening today is over the top. It's on 100. It's everywhere. There's a crown on my head. The word queen is written on my forehead. My ears are blinged out. I made myself a custom queen necklace, and there's even a crown on my shirt. But none of this makes me a queen no more than wearing a fireman's uniform makes me a fireman. And even calling myself queen is no indication that I am. Sometimes we can focus so much on how we look that we end up neglecting what really matters, which is our character and how we show up in the world. So let me go de-queen myself real quick so that I don't laugh through the rest of this video, and I will be right back. Before I can assume the title of something, I must first seek to understand what the word means and learn the qualities that are associated with it. We can't use the word without living up to the responsibility of that word, because when we do, we end up deceiving ourselves and confusing the people around us. Today I want to focus on the story of Esther, who, according to the book of Esther in the Bible, she was the cousin of Mordecai, and her parents died, and Mordecai ended up adopting her as his own daughter. Mordecai and Esther were Jews who were in exile from Jerusalem. They ended up being brought to Persia, where King Xerxes was the ruler at the time, and he had a wife named Queen Vashti. The king was having a banquet. He made a specific request of the queen, but she refused, and when she did that, it upset him, so he talked to his nobles about what he should do about it, and they were like, listen, you're going to have to get rid of her as queen because our wives are going to think they can do the same thing. So this is how we come to learn about Esther. Esther was selected as one of the potential candidates to replace Queen Vashti, and scripture notes that immediately she found favor with everyone who saw her. She was given special treatment, she was assigned 7 women to assist her, and she was given the best place to live, and all of this happened even before she was selected as queen. There was something captivating about her, and yes, she was beautiful, but there had to be more than just her beauty, because all of the women that they selected to be presented to the king were physically beautiful. Esther 2:17, the NIV version states, "Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins, so he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti." So what did Esther have that the other women didn't? There are many characteristics in the book of Esther, but I will highlight 5 of them. Number 1, she was wise, level-headed, and didn't allow her feelings or her personal life to sabotage the bigger picture. I imagine it must have been a scary time for her. She was a Jew. She couldn't tell anybody. She was in a strange land with people she didn't know, and plus they had different customs than her. She was selected to do something she probably didn't want to do, and she was separated from the only family that she had, which was her cousin Mordecai. Probably feeling that if her parents were around, they could have, shielded her from what was getting ready to happen. I'm sure all of this had to be overwhelming to her, probably a little bit scary too. But in spite of all that, she was willing to go through the process and not let her emotions get the best of her. Which brings me to my second characteristic. She was willing to go through the process and take on difficult challenges. According to Esther 2:12, she had to go through a 12-month process of beauty treatments before she could even be presented to the king. That was a year's worth of preparation before even meeting the king, and she didn't have any guarantee that she was going to be selected as queen. She could have said, I didn't sign up for this, I quit, I want to go be with my cousin, or she could have even tried to escape. But by her yielding to the process, her life and the life of her people drastically changed forever and in a good way. Number 3, she was not selfish or self-centered. She was willing to risk her comfort and, more importantly, her life to benefit others. Her cousin Mordecai had refused to bow to Haman, and Haman got upset. He went to the king and got permission to have Mordecai and all the Jews killed. And since it had been decreed by the king, Esther knew that this was not a threat, but it was a promise that Haman was going to carry out if she didn't take action. Despite the realistic fear she faced, she devised a plan to approach the king on the behalf of her people. And it was a risk, yes, a calculated risk though. She knew that she was going to need a greater power than hers to carry this out. So before she did anything, she and the Jews fasted. Esther 4:15-16, the NIV version states, "Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this fast is done, I will go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish." Which brings me to characteristic number 4. She knew the importance of consulting God first. She realized that she had human limitations, and it was very serious what she was getting ready to do. And even though God's name is not specifically mentioned in this book, she knew that divine intervention was going to be necessary, and she could not do it in her own strength. She needed a strategy, and she needed the king's heart to be receptive to her before she approached him and even opened her mouth. And trust me, getting the green light from God in any situation is highly recommended, because we need the backing of heaven before we take on any risk. So don't rely on your own strength or your own intellect. Trust me, we are not that smart. And number 5, she had people serving her, but she was still a servant. I think that's worth repeating. Queen Esther had people serving her, but she was still a servant. Esther chapter 4, verse 4 states, "When Queen Esther's maids and eunuchs, her servants, came and told her about Mordecai, she was deeply distressed." Esther was a leader, and she used her influence and her affluence for the good of others, and in this case, it was her people, the Jews. As queen, she had prestige, wealth, and power, but she could not look the other way while the lives of her people were at stake. It was because of the bravery of Queen Esther that her people were spared, promoted, and honored. Esther's wisdom, patience, selflessness, and courage ended up saving the life of her cousin and all of her people. Not only that, but the one who was trying to kill them, which was Haman, he ended up dying, and her cousin Mordecai became rich instantly because he was given Haman's estate. And all the Jews benefited from one person's selfless act. That was a real what the devil meant for evil, God turned it into good kind of moment. So to recap, queens are wise, level-headed, disciplined, humble, patient. They're willing to go through the process. They seek God first about everything. They have faith. They're visionaries and leaders who use their influence and affluence for the good of others. I encourage you to read the book of Esther in your spare time. And since I talked about what queens are, let's talk about what they're not. Queens are not attention-seeking, insecure, impulsive, arrogant, degrading to others, jealous, dishonest. They're not seductive. They don't lead with their body parts. They're not over the top. They don't say everything they think, nor do they have a me, myself, and I mentality. And I know you want some examples, so here they are. You might want to buckle up for this part. You will never see a queen shaming anyone or calling another woman out of her name. You will never see a queen with somebody else's man or bragging because they took your man. Queens don't clap back. They're not petty, nor do they seek revenge. Queens don't rejoice in the downfall of others, even if that person has wronged them. Queens don't hold grudges or resent you for what you did to them 20 years ago. Queens don't gossip, slander, or lie about other people to compensate for their own insecurities. Queens don't focus on haters because they realize we all have them, so instead they choose to stay focused on their assignment. Queens don't walk around with $1,000 shoes on, carrying a $2,000 purse, but cannot pay their rent and have no savings or investments. Queens are not seductive or superficial. They don't lead with their cleavage, hips, lips, or thighs. Queens don't announce their every move, nor do they have to show it to prove it. Queens don't think they woke up like this, but they realize if it had not been for God's mercy, they wouldn't wake up at all. And I could go on and on and on, but I think you get the point. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is queens don't live a life that their lips contradict. God wants us to be beautiful from the inside out. He is not concerned with a beauty that's only skin deep. According to Proverbs 31:30, charm is deceptive and beauty does not last, but a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Using our looks, our body, or flattery to secure the bag, get a promotion, or even get a man, that may work for a season, but it won't last because our body is going to change. There's no way around it. We cannot stop the aging process. Yes, we should age gracefully by taking care of our spirit, our soul, and our body, but getting older is just going to happen. I don't look like I did at the age of 30. My edges would be gray right now if Miss Clairol was not available and on the shelf. My metabolism, it seems like it's zero. I have to work out almost every day to lose a pound a month. And my knees remind me that I'm about to be 54 years old real soon. The struggle is real. Pampering yourself, dressing nice, enjoying fashion, nothing at all wrong with that because I love it too, but we can't lead with that. Some of us focus so much on the outside that while our inside is empty. And buying more and more stuff is not going to compensate for misery or brokenness. We're going to need more than looks and a physique. We're going to have to work on character, which will outlast anything physical any day. So in closing, I want to admonish you to take a hard look at the woman in the mirror and analyze your life. What you're currently doing, is it working? What do you have to offer God, yourself, and others that's going to make a difference? And for those that are seeking to be married, what do you have to offer a real man? Are you exhibiting queen behavior so that your king can find you? I am in no way talking to you. I am talking to us, me included. We want the favor of God to overshadow our lives and goodness and mercy to follow us. So we got to be willing to do the work to develop in the areas that we're deficient. Calling ourselves queen is wonderful. Please don't stop doing it, but let's make sure we act like it. And as queens, let's give other queens permission to correct us when we don't. I want to leave you with an affirmation in the form of a lesson that I've learned. So repeat after me. I am a beautiful and unique masterpiece created by God. Therefore, I will focus on my inner beauty and radiating from within. Instead of seeking attention and validation from anyone, I will seek to please God. After all, the favor of God will take me where my looks or my body never could. I encourage you to say this affirmation to yourself every day until we chat again next Friday. I will leave it in the description of this video. And since we're here to learn from each other, I would love for you to share in the comments some queen behavior that we can implement in our daily lives. So that concludes today's lesson. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. I do appreciate you. Please join me next Friday for a lesson entitled Follow Your Heart. Should you? For most of my life, that's what I did. Join me next week and I'll let you know how that turned out for me. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe while you're here. I look forward to chatting with you next Friday. In the meantime, remember that you matter because you do. In Christ, you will always be enough. You are never alone. And most importantly, you are eternally and unconditionally loved. Until next time, take care.